So last week on November 9th, we saw a ton of selling take place for Tesla, and I mentioned how this partly is due to the commentary from President Joe Biden saying that he supports the UAW and trying to organize Tesla workers. Now I know some of you guys may say, but Justin, you already talked about this last week, plus Tesla stock started recovering a bit, so this is old news, but we have further developments that we absolutely have to talk about that are a bit concerning, especially for Tesla stock. See, last week I mentioned that this was a big deal because essentially Biden and the Biden administration holds the purse to go ahead and help and support Tesla, meaning that if Tesla potentially never wants to unionize, well, maybe the Biden administration will put pressure on them by removing or reducing the tax incentives or the tax credits that Tesla gets. And so they may say, hey, if you guys don't unionize some of your workers, maybe we won't give you the tax EV credits that incentivize people to buy Teslas. And so I talked about this last week and I said how this was one of the reasons why Tesla stock was falling down. In fact, we also had billionaire Ron Barron say the same exact thing.
Before we move off Tesla, just for
by the way,
second,
the stock went down yesterday, not because that report.
Okay,
went
what do you
down
think
because of Joe Biden, President Biden, who, by the way, I love what he's doing for Israel, but I don't like that much what he's doing in business. Some things I like. But he's the one who said unions should organize Tesla. That's what happened yesterday when the stock went down.
Now, the reason I'm bringing this back up again is because we just today had Biden make this tweet saying that the future of the automobile industry will be made in America by American union workers. And so essentially, this is just Biden and the Biden administration doubling down on the idea that, hey, all these American automobile manufacturing companies will eventually get unionized. And of course, this poses a threat for Tesla stock. And so that area that I talked about within the Push and Profit private group of $226.35 may still be presented as an area for resistance for Tesla stock, especially now that we're getting this new tweet come out. Now, trying to understand the idea of why Tesla joining a union or unionizing some of its workers could be a potential bad idea is a bit challenging to explain, but I mentioned it in last week's video, and essentially what I was saying is that Tesla pays its workers a fair share, but they also offer stock grants for a company that is still growing in the EV space versus some of these legacy automakers that are already unionized. Well, now they're paying their workers more pay. And of course, I'm not against paying workers more, but the issue is that they're paying their workers more and it's hurting the bottom line of the companies. Again, I don't care about the companies. I really just want people to get paid well. But a lot of the workers on Tesla, although their salaries may not be as high as those legacy automakers that are unionized, they actually are oftentimes more well off because of stock compensation. See, if you get a decent salary, maybe it's not as high as people who are workers or who are unionized, but you also get stocks, well, you could be significantly much more wealthier, especially when you're getting shares of a company that's a great company that is still continuing to grow. Because at the end of the day, the best way to build wealth in this country is by equity. And I talk about this in this channel with stocks and real estate, and essentially it's just about gaining equity. And so this tweet by Biden may be a little bit of a hint saying, hey, if you guys don't comply with what we're saying, well, maybe we're going to go ahead and put some pressure. Again, just reading between the lines, Joe Biden didn't say this, but it looks like the administration, the Biden administration, is pretty much saying that, hey, we believe that we are going to see a future where these companies will join or have their workers unionized. And of course, Tesla and Toyota, they're against that currently, but maybe they may end up having to join, especially if this administration puts some more pressure. But that's just, things in the short term. That's just things that are going around. One of the reasons why I said that, hey, I'm very long-term bullish on Tesla stock. I've been investing in Tesla stock since 2017. For the long term, I've been invested in Tesla stock, but I also trade Tesla stock in the short term in a short-term trading account. But one of the things I've been saying is that, hey, I don't expect things to go all the way uphill here for Tesla, as there's still some other challenges. And one of those other challenges is the macroeconomic environment. See, I say this oftentimes that right now, with rates being so high and also inflation still being a little bit of an issue, that makes it very difficult for Tesla. Why? Well, right now, even if you have stellar credit, let's say a 850, you have an 850 credit score, you're still financing a new vehicle at almost 8%, and which is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's providing this incentive not to buy a new car. And that's why Tesla is a company that's very sensitive to the macroeconomic environment. It's different from companies like some of these chip makers like Nvidia, where their customers are pretty much billion dollar companies, where it doesn't matter what the rates are. These companies are going to buy these chips because they want to go ahead and win this race in AI, and they need these chips, and they have the money to do so. But when you have consumers who are struggling with inflation and rates being high, and mind you, we still haven't felt the true ramifications of previous rate hikes that are still in the pipelines, well, again, this is presenting a challenge for Tesla. Now, I want to highlight something I found pretty interesting, as it's something that I've been saying for quite some time. See, we had this clipping from the Wall Street Journal, and yes, I still get the newspaper, okay? I have the digital version, but I also pay for the newspaper too. And it says that this holiday season is looking horrible, okay? And then, of course, it talks about how people or Americans are most likely going to spend less simply because of the fact that pandemic savings, all the flush of money that came in, is now gone. That money essentially took a vacation. It's no longer here. And when you have Americans struggling with inflation and still high interest rates, well, that causes a challenge. And this is something that I've been saying. And so while a lot of these media publications have been saying everything's all Cheerio, now they're starting to show cracks that maybe things aren't looking too well. Now, of course, this is not a buy or sell recommendation for Tesla. And of course, you always have to do whatever you see value in it for yourself and your family, and whatever you need to do to make sure that you're moving financially well. But in my view, for Tesla personally, I don't see this as a great opportunity to lock in yet, as I still see that there may be some more pain and challenges for Tesla. And this is coming from someone who's a long-term bull for Tesla. And I know some individuals may disagree with me, and then there's also individuals who are pretty much salivating for Tesla stock to fall down just so they could go ahead and buy the dip. Of course, I'm still long-term bullish on Tesla, but essentially what I'm saying is things can become a little bit more troubling, especially now that we may get some more pressure from the Biden administration. But of course, we have to continue monitoring the developments and the incoming data. For example, this week, we had the CPI report coming out, which is the Consumer Price Index, which is a inflationary gauge. And we want to absolutely see what's going on with inflation year over year. Is it actually starting to cool off a bit further, or is it going to continue to be stubborn? And so that's a huge report coming out this week on Tuesday. We absolutely don't want to miss that out. By the way, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And also make sure to check out the links in the description below, because one of the links is going to be a link for my free weekly market pulse insights. And again, it's completely free. You just type in your email, and every single week I send out an email talking about what's currently going on. And of course, we also have to remember, guys, we have the Cybertruck delivery date event coming up towards the end of the month, and we absolutely want to hear what's going on with the Cybertrucks, okay? We want to know, the price and just a few more updates with the Cybertruck. And so there's a few, events coming up that we absolutely want to be aware of. So again, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out, and check out those links. And before you guys go, make sure to check out this next video right over here, and I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care, guys.